Hey folks, how's it going? I'm in the woods, in my happy place. I've just walked to the end of the line, the forestry path up above Lamlash, and it's beautiful. I've got the evening sun, the sound of birdsong. It's just, yeah. This is my happy place. So today I wanted to tell you a story about a thing that happened to me that I was reminded of just the other day when I got an email reply from a friend of mine. Now this friend of mine is in the USA and his birthday is the same day as my wife's. So he wrote to me, said, "Wish your wife a happy birthday." And I was super touched that he remembered. So I replied, and it just so happens that in my signature, in my emails, I have a link that says PS newsletter. It's just a link to my newsletter so people can check it out and sign up. And he clicked it and he replied. And of course, as you know, because you're all subscribed, right? My newsletter's all about recovery from addiction. And he clicked through, found my newsletter, and he sent me a reply that reminded me of the last time he and I met, which was in 2005. And we met because I was going over to play guitar at Steve Kaufman's Acoustic camp. This is Dave Scouron is the friend I'm talking about. Dave Scouron of Red Bear Trading. And he makes those amazing tortoise picks, you know, the fake tortoise shell. And that's how we hooked up. We hooked up actually before that, but we arranged to meet at Steve Kaufman's camp, and so I flew over from Luxembourg to Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam to, I think it was Detroit, it might have been Memphis, I can't actually remember, but this is what's interesting about this story. So this was 2005, which you might remember is my sobriety year. I got sober in October 2005. And this was in June, so I was still probably at the peak of my alcoholism. And when we got to Amsterdam, it was early in the morning, but I had that super excited feeling, you know what I mean? I'm going somewhere for 2 weeks to do something amazing. Let's have a drink, shall we? So, Amsterdam Airport, if you've never been there, it's an amazing airport, massive place, and of course the bars are open 24/7, and so I started drinking at Amsterdam Airport before I boarded my flight to the US, and I continued to drink all the way across the Atlantic, and was quite drunk of course by the time I arrived at, let's just say it's Detroit, right? I'm not actually sure, but we'll say for the sake of argument that it's Detroit. And I stopped there, got off the plane, and I remember standing in line for customs and my hangover starting to hit me. Getting yon kind of thirsty way, you know. Headache starting to come on, faced with the big long customs line and all of that. It wasn't pleasant. So by the time I got through, I had a big thirst on. Now, my baggage had been checked to go all the way through to Tennessee, which is where the camp was going to be. So we were flying into Knoxville, and my bags had gone on, but I was carrying my guitar, I had it with me. And so I got into the airport with a big thirst on, and I can remember finding a bar, sitting at the bar, super excited to be in the USA, and ordering a pitcher, because in the UK we don't get pitchers. That's something I'd never really seen anywhere except in the US, and I'd been to the US before, so I knew it was a thing. So I was like, right, I've got a few hours to kill in this airport, I'm really thirsty, I'm hungover, I'm going to get myself a pitcher. And that was the last thing I remember. Sitting at the bar, talking to a guy, drinking a pitcher. I don't know how many beers I had, whether I went on to spirits, I've no idea, because I went into blackout. And the next thing I remember is coming to being carried through the airport by two big burly security guards. So I kind of woke up from blackout being helped by these two guys, one of whom luckily had my guitar, because, you know, that could have disappeared. That would have been a tragedy, because that guitar is irreplaceable now. The guy who made that guitar for me is no longer here. He's gone up to the great guitar workshop in the sky. His name is Heiner Dreizehner from Germany. And I had with me my Model A, my Tasmanian Blackwood Model A guitar. So these security guards had me and they had my guitar. When they saw that I was coming to, they made sure that I was okay, and they let me get back on my feet and sent me on my merry way. Now at this point, I actually thought that I was in Knoxville, but I wasn't. So I went down to baggage claim and looked around for my bags. Of course, there was nothing there. I couldn't find the carousel with any information about arrivals from Detroit. So I went to the information desk, asked them where my bags were, and it soon became apparent that I was not in Knoxville, but that my bags had travelled on without me. And then I was like, oh my God, what have I just done? And I can remember obviously that sinking feeling of desperation, like, oh shit. Then the panic, like, what do I do? And then that thought to myself, my wife's waiting to hear back to let her know that I've arrived safely. What do I do? Do I phone her and tell her a lie? Make up a story that I'm fine, I've arrived safely, or tell her that I haven't arrived safely because of travel problems, or, you know. So first thing was first, I had to sort out the logistics. I had to figure out how I was going to get to Knoxville. So I basically had to go to the check-in desk, or the ticket desk, and book myself another flight for the next day. So that cost me. I had to pay for another flight. Then I had to find accommodation. So there was accommodation at the airport, so I was able to book myself a room. That was costly. And I got myself a room, and then I thought, now I need to face this phone call to my wife. What am I going to tell her? And perhaps, surprisingly, I don't know, but I told her the truth. I told her exactly what had happened. And naturally she was distressed, frightened, because she knew that I was going to be in the USA for the next 2 weeks. I was going to be away from family. I was going to have opportunity to drink, and I actually did. I did drink, but I told the truth and I got through it. And this is what I was reminded of, because I got to camp the next day, and of course Dave was wondering where I was, because he'd got in the day before and I hadn't arrived. And I told him the story. I told him the truth about what had happened, and this is what he reminded me of. He told me in his reply to my email this week that, you know, he remembered my telling him that story the next day. And, you know, what did we do? Well, the first thing we did was we went down to a liquor store and we bought a shed load of beer and a cooler. And for the next 2 weeks we did drink, but it wasn't, I mean, I never got into blackout, I don't think once, during the whole 2 weeks of tuition camp. And it was actually one of the best things I've ever done. It was such an amazing thing to do. That's a story for a different video, but we did drink. I did drink beer. I also had a bottle of duty-free whiskey which I'd bought at airport, probably at Amsterdam. And so I remember drinking shots at dinner time, before we went out. After class and before eating, I would have a couple of shots in the room. And I remember being quite show-offy about it, saying to my pal Dave, "Yeah, this is how the Scots do it," bravado. It's nuts, but that's what my life was like then. That's how it was. And it was a lucky escape. I'm lucky that nothing worse happened to me in that airport. And I'm lucky that I got to keep my guitar, because, man, it's still my favourite guitar now to this day. All these years later, it's still my number one. And, what a story, huh? What a story. And that's what alcohol did to me. The blackouts, they weren't uncommon. The blackouts were a big feature of my drinking, and it wasn't something I enjoyed, wasn't something I ever intended. Obviously, if I'm travelling to the USA, I'm not planning to black out in the airport. I don't know whether anybody ever really plans to black out, but I know I certainly didn't. It was that thing of, let's just have a couple of drinks, every time. I would believe that it was going to be okay, and probably more often than not it wasn't okay, but I kept on believing that it would be. That's the insanity of it. So that's my story. That's what happened to me. This has been great. I'm enjoying this, just sitting here in the woods and telling my stories, remembering what my life used to be like, because it allows me to reflect on what my life is like now, to get some gratitude in my life. This is the kind of thing I get to do now. I get to walk into the woods on a beautiful spring evening with my camera equipment, my microphones, and I get to sit down in a beautiful location like this and tell stories that hopefully will help someone out there. But even if it doesn't, you know what, it helps me just to remember these things, to get them down on tape, because maybe one day my children will watch these. I don't know. They know some of my stories, they don't know the details. Why would they? So I have this record now of what my life used to be like, and I also have a record of what my life is like now. It's infinitely better. The miracle of sobriety is real. It can be yours if you want it. If you want it badly enough, as I did. You don't have to lose everything. You can do something about it today. So if that's something that you would like to talk about, get in touch. Hit me up on my newsletter. You'll find it at camscampbell.com. If you sign up and subscribe there, I'll get a notification and we can start a conversation. If you're looking for help in how to find and maintain your sobriety, get in touch or leave a comment. If you found this valuable, let me know by liking the video. That would be amazing. It helps me to know what resonates with you and what's helpful. And if you would like to show me your appreciation in a more tangible way, as all alcoholics do, I think, I love a cup of coffee. So you can buy me a coffee. You'll find the link to do that in the description in this video. That would be amazing. Thank you. Thanks for watching this video. And stick around, because remember, you're not alone. See you later.